to the bold analysis. There is a discussion that is taking place now. My position is this is a very early discussion. But let me promise you, we complained that William Ruto started campaigning immediately after 2017 elections. But the same is back in his regime. While he's campaigning for 2027 re-election in what is wrapped as prayer rallies every Sunday, his deputy Rigathi Gachagua is also busy trying to cement a very elusive Gema Kalenjin unity in what is seen as plotting William Ruto's succession. On the other side of Azimio, Eugene Wamalwa and Kakamega governor, former Kakamega governor, Oparanya, are also out saying, please Raila, we need a Raila Tosha moment. We need a Tosha moment. And before we know, guys, we just have a year to see how William Ruto is going to rule. But after that, the jury will be out. We are going to be back in the political campaign space before or earlier than we expected or earlier than we want the voters. What is it? David Murathe, who was a key Uhuru Kenyatta operative, and Jeremiah Kioni, Secretary General of Jubilee Party, were asked by the nation that what exactly is the state of affairs as far as William Ruto's succession is concerned. And despite of an pronouncement by Kalonzo Musyoka, they're making a statement that seems to have, that has a potential of unsettling Kalonzo. That as we talk now, 2027 is a Raila moment. I dare say no. But that is what it is. Ruto himself started campaigning way back, and even after the inauguration, from the inauguration speech on 13th September at the floor of Kasarani Stadium, William Ruto started plotting for 2027. From there, I can tell you without fear of contradiction that the manifesto was discarded and he started by redeeming political pledges to the individuals, to leaders. And as we are here congratulating and saying that Ruto is a man who keeps his friends and trust. Before we know, Hustler Fund is around. But then the promises seems not to be meeting the eye of the common man because the man is keeping off function by president. I'm talking about Jamhuri Day. Ladies and gentlemen, with Raila hitting 82 years in 2027, there have been a debate that the voters might be fatigued, but I need to be so cautious with the word fatigued here because I've not got that one directly from them. And there is need for fresh blood. What is this discussion about Raila heading to the ballot in 2027? It's too early, if you ask me. But what is my opinion? We're going to look at that. My scheme and what really political leaders that are scheming against Ruto in which election must know. Ruto's succession plan must be a plan that ties 2027 to 2032. Because even if you plan succession, you must also plan by a variance that he has a better chance to get re-election. Oh no, we can break the records and have first ever first-term president. Oh my goodness, that can be an ambition. It's possible. I have seen campaign, I've seen operatives around President Ruto already grafting the minds of voters that Ruto is a two-term president. And that is why I have seen Musalim Davade, the son of Mudamba, during the Western tour, that is asking the Western that, look here, abandon Raila and join William Ruto. So what is this formation that will still stand the tide, that can be tested in 2027, and after being tested, if it fails, it can still be viable in 2032? Think about it, because that will be the gist of the end of this analysis as I give you my feedback. Mount Kenya, Gema, is insisting on Raila. Why? Why? Of course, Raila scooped, I do believe it could be more than 1 million. But according to figures by Wafula-led commission, it was around 1.2 million. But I do believe it could be more than that. The biggest headache that President Ruto is having is that the gap between him and Raila Odinga, the contested gap, was 239,000 votes. Oh, too small. Could people be thinking that if you take Raila again and get something right, you can reduce that gap? But hey, a very wild question. If election is to be called today and Raila faces William Ruto, do you think the gap will be less than 200,000? Or do you think it will be 1 million? And if you think it will be more than 200,000, what could be it? What could be? Just ask yourself, what is the factor that would make Raila lose against William Ruto today? Think about it. Yes, and when you ask that, you also need to find out the factors that really triggered, the factors that were on table in the last general election. There's some 3 things playing out in this Murathe and Kioni Raila pitch. Raila, I think Gema would really be very comfortable with Raila running a successful check on William Ruto government. You know, when William Ruto, when a successful check, and the only person who can do this is Raila Odinga. That is why when he was away, the other leaders within the Azimio ranks, they had to cancel that meeting. Probably it couldn't have happened. But in the event that Raila will run a successful check on William Ruto, then that will reduce the stake, or rather the popularity of the president in Gema. Better still, it can also dislodge William Ruto as a temporary kingpin of the region. Let me make it better. If a successful check is done on William Ruto and Kenyans reduce the trust that they put on him, a downfall of President Ruto is not for him. Even if Ruto is to serve 1 term, he has achieved it. The person that is on the radar is Rigathi Gachagua. And that is what it seems. Number 2, with the talks of new opposition office being formed, I also see that leaders who may not have found an opportunity, have not found audience with William Ruto or Rigathi Gachagua, even after coming out publicly to announce that they were going to work with the president, may want now to go back and quote Raila. And the best way to quote Raila is to try to push him that, look here, you are the preferred candidate. You know, we want to support you. I dare Raila not to fall into that trap. And hold on to the end so that you get my position on this. The new battleground is Raila Odinga's voting constituency. And I've always said that Raila Odinga's voting constituency has been misconstructed, is wrongfully profiled. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because people have tried to push Raila to a Luo candidate, but that's not it. Raila controls Busia. Kisi listens to Raila. and even the other, and even Nairobi. I was shocked at the number of votes he got in Nakuru for the first time. Kilifi. So there is a scramble for Raila Odinga's voting constituency. And people would want to be with him. A politics, if it will turn left, I turn left. If you turn east, if you turn right, I turn right. That is something on the stake. But this is the challenge. There seems to be a generational transition that Kenya is going through. And that is why you cannot underestimate the influence and the impact of political visibility really being enjoyed by Winnie Odinga and Charlie Ruto. No, that's the third generation. There is the youthful, I don't say youthful, but the leaders, the young politicians, a young breed of politicians, the Ndindi Nyoros, the Elisha Odhiambo, the Sam Atandis, that group. There was not Oscar Sudi. I was Kasudi. I was Kasudi. No, the Sakajas. It will be given a chance. If I am given a chance to put something that Azimio can do, Kalonzo Karua on the ticket with backing of either Oparanya or Eugene Omalwa. But you would go for Eugene. Because if you give Eugene the position that Mudavadi is now with, then technically you can take Oparanya to also hold Oparanya somewhere. Kakamega is a little bit, it's not that bad. Kakamega, even 1027, can share the spoils with William Ruto. Then Bungoma is where Eugene tries to now to galvanize Bungoma and Trans Nzoia, so that Western would choose between a Prime Minister and a Speaker to a Deputy President or a Prime Minister post. It's something that you can look at. Kalonzo will easily sway Raila Odinga's constituency. In fact, I'm even wondering, everyone who is planning a Ruto succession, there is one constant, that Raila Odinga's voting constituency will easily head towards Kalonzo Musyoka. And anyone rubbing Kalonzo Musyoka out of this matrix, I think, is just becoming unfair to himself. Eugene would easily checkmate Wetangula on the other end. But this formation only thrives on two aspects. Number one is William Ruto's failure. Number two is Kalonzo holding grip of Mombasa. A bit. Is Raila holding a bit of that influence in Mombasa? But the best way that it can only thrive better on the downfall of William Ruto. And number two, if William Ruto decides to manage his transition with the politics of incumbency, I can tell you, it's too early. But sadly enough, we may have just next year only. 2024 will be back in the ring. Sadly, we can even be before the end of next year. That's my take, guys.